Hey everybody, welcome back to the MixNSingle podcast. It's another Monday at 8. Well, this is after 8. We're at 8:35 because we have so many people in this room tonight. And we're going to be talking to the founder of Sin of Being Single, Miss Nicole Michelle.
Okay.
And we have the host of Dapper Dialogues and G for Gents, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm going to let everybody introduce themselves. Of course, you know, you got me, T, and you have Onay and Tony. Massey speaks.
What it do?
We all have mugs tonight.
Yes, we do.
Amen, amen. All right, so I'm going to start with Nicole. Go ahead and tell us about yourself and tell us what the Sin of Being Single is all about.
Okay, so I'm Nicole Michelle, or Cole Michelle, and I am over the Sin of Being Single. Go follow me, Sin of Being Single on Instagram. Yes. And let's see, about me. I'm grown. I'm single. I started Sin of Being Single because once I hit like 29, 30, I saw people it was like something to check off a list. So it's like, oh, I'm 30, you know, I've finished school, or I'm trying to finish school. I'm 30, I'm 32. Now it's time to settle down. And people were making decisions based on sort of a societal type pressure or a community pressure, and marrying people that they really had no business marrying, and coupling with people they really had no business coupling with. And I was like, why is this happening? And then as I continued to march into my 30s, it was like, where's your boo? It was like you constantly had to be coupled with someone, or it was wrong. I was like, they act like it's a sin to be single. So the sin of being single is a hyperbole. And so of course there is no sin of being single, but that is something that loops in the minds of many, and it really does. It really plays into lots of toxic relationships. And bad relationships and dumb partnerships. Okay. So my goal is to like edify singles, because I think if you really know yourself and you know your basic needs and wants, and you really you're in love with that, then I'm not going to get with someone that doesn't match well with me. Right. So that's it.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with me.
Is this focused more towards women, or?
No, it's everyone.
So it's okay for men to be single too?
Absolutely.
But y'all get on us.
What? I'm asking
But
questions.
that's the point. But that's the point of the sin of.
But I'm saying, true. I mean, there's this narrative that men are either afraid to or reluctant to commit.
Right.
And so our singleness sometimes is weaponized, or we feel like because we're single, something is wrong.
Exactly.
I get it all the time.
Inevitably, that's what she's saying. And that happens to us as well. It's like our biological clock is ticking. If we don't have kids by a certain time, if we're not married by a certain time. But what's wrong with you? Why you don't have any children?
You don't have children.
I get to think about kids all the time. I'm like, hold on, how old are you?
Exactly.
You're not married? You ain't got kids?
Right.
And I get the once over, like, I get that all the time.
Yep. 35 and plus, if you don't have an ex-wife, what's going on? Like
that's
that's supposed to be your badge of whoa. You don't have an ex-wife? He's never been married. She's never. She don't have no kids. What's the problem?
He must be a senior dater.
And that is. But the sin of being single has nothing to do with gender. It has nothing to do with sexual orientation. The sin of being single is the sin of being single. There is. And again, it's because marriage is on the decline. Period. Across the board.
Right.
But even being coupled with someone when you're not. It's constant, like, oh, something's wrong with you. Let me fix it. Right. Let me introduce you to somebody because we got to hurry up and get you out of this sin. To absolve you, you have to be with someone. Like, oh, okay, so it doesn't matter the quality of the relationship as long as you got somebody.
But I can say this: I've heard more of that since I've been in the South, because I've dated women from the East Coast, and they was like, when they both said it, wow, I've never heard that as much until I moved to Texas.
And where are you from?
I'm from San Antonio.
Oh, okay.
But I dated a girl from Atlanta once, and the girl before that was from Baltimore, and they both said the exact same thing. They were like, oh, I never heard that so much until I came to Texas. Like, that's such a big thing, but from where we're from, it's not the same. But
yeah, I mean, I'm a West Virginia native, and I'm a D.C. resident, Washington, D.C. resident. And so I started Sin of Being Single watching people in DC and the surrounding area, like that's where I came of age. You know, that's where I moved to DC at 28, and that's when I began to see the patterns of this need to be coupled, and this.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
This is the South. And we are Southern Belles, and so we are raised, you know, thinking about what our wedding is going to be like, who we're going to marry. In some households, in my household, it was like that, you know, what your wedding is going to be like, how many kids you think you want, et cetera, et cetera. And I made the choice to go on my career path. I've been engaged a couple of times, but never married, no children. And so now at 44, yes, I'm 44. I get she must be crazy. What's wrong with you? Are you sick? But it's none of that. This was a choice. This is me saying, I'm choosing who I procreate with. I'm choosing who I cohabitate with. I'd rather not. Don't get me wrong. I've made some crazy decisions, as we all have. But I made the choice to go along my career path. What'd you say?
No, it's saying.
He said as he continues.
As I continue to make the crazy decisions. Yeah. They were saying as we all have. I'm still doing it.
So, I get it.
Yeah, it's like, I know that I'm lucky because my parents and my grandmother, before she passed, she'd always say, I know you're not going to make, like, you're not no Judge Joe Brown girl, which meant I wasn't going to end up with the dude that was going to have me in court over me paying his phone bill for years or something. Right. She was like, you ain't no Judge Joe Brown girl. I know you're going to choose well.
I love that.
Yeah, that's a great reference.
You smoke crack, huh? I went to school with people like that.
I can look at you and tell you smoke crack. Yeah.
I know people like you.
So I've been lucky to, grow up in, my grandmother and my parents never really pushed me towards that, but I know a lot of people that do. But they don't make me do anything. They didn't choose a degree for me. They didn't choose, you know what I mean? They let me sort of forge my own path, which I think is important. But yeah, it is. You grow up wanting that,
Yeah.
And I know you went into telling us why you started Sin of Being Single, and you kind of told us some of the myths, but as far as your platform, what have you seen most? What is the biggest thing or the most pronounced myth that you hear in being single?
Well, this sort of piggybacks into what we'll talk about later. Is it's usually there must be something wrong. You were doing, if you did XYZ, you would have this. So if you can go down this checklist or of things that you should do or you shouldn't do, and if you did that, because I've heard before, you're too pretty to be single. What is that supposed to mean?
Right.
Like, you don't.
All the time.
Yeah.
But you know what? Y'all laughing, but and not trying to be funny in that situation. When girls are like, "Why don't you have kids?" It's kind of they're not saying, but they're insinuating.
And they weaponize homosexuality. It's like, oh, well, you don't have this, you must be gay. Like,
you a lesbian?
Exactly. Exactly.
I had a cousin that say, "You've never brought a guy to." The family reunions. I assumed you were a lesbian.
Yep, they use it. It becomes
Kim
a
Folk
slur.
said that.
Yeah, my cousin
you should have told him. You keep bringing trash bags.
No, I didn't respond, and I won't respond here. But I could tell y'all later on what I thought. But I love her.
Well, can I introduce the other men? First of all,
absolutely.
I'm excited that there are other men in the room because usually there's so much black girl magic.
Tonight,
I'm just saying there's so much black girl magic in the room.
Whatever they've been doing to you,
my magic just can't be seen. I am honored.
Yes.
I am geeked to announce that the gentleman from Dapper Dialogues is in the building. Now, I just met these two gentlemen to my left for the first time tonight, but of course, me and Kaylin go way back, like baby shoes and diapers and whatnot. That's family right there. But if you wouldn't mind, introduce yourselves, let the people know who you are and what Dapper Dialogues is. I know I'm getting ahead of the schedule, but I just want to make sure because they're interjecting.
Yes, they are.
And I don't want people to think that I just brought my boys to the studio because I was scared.
No.
First, let me say it's awesome to be back on the Sphere. Some people might know us, some of them might not. My name is Nathaniel James, a.k.a. Mr. W.J. Knotts, a.k.a. the Militant Gent, AKA the Bobby Brown to this whole situation.
Oh my God.
but the people who follow Just for Gentlemen, they know my moniker, so it's cool. Also one of the co-hosts for
that's my cousin in the purple shirt.
one of the co-hosts to Dapper Dialogues and the owner of WJ Knox. I'm gonna pass it to one of the co-hosts right here.
No, one of my friends said that. Look, see? Okay. That's my cousin in the purple.
Hello. My name is Royce Thomas, a.k.a. Body by Royce. 1/3 of this G is for Gents, also known as Dapper Dialogues, Power Trio. What else my name? Oh, Mr. Shoot Your Shot.
There it is.
Because I'm going to shoot my shot.
Clearly.
I'm going to shoot. Oh, all the time.
Going to Mexico, right?
Like bow.
Right.
It's easy.
So yeah, going to Mexico.
I too am happy to be on the Spear Network as well, because it's brought back a bunch of good memories. We had a bunch of great shows.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just happy to be here. Oh yeah, they definitely be back. You know y'all gonna see these faces again.
What up, y'all? It's your man, Kalen Loss, a.k.a. Senor Wapo. What's good? A.k.a. the style professor. You know what time it is. Listen, I am the anchor leg of the Dapper Dialogues, and G is for Gentlemen, and we are super excited to be in the building talking about all things Dapper. We keep it sexy at all times, so we're going to make sure and keep it the same way here.
This is show. Okay.
That's what I said.
That's what I do for a living, man. Like, I'm a media personality.
I'm sorry that the man from G is for Gentlemen have a natural prowess on the microphone.
Listen.
I mean,
I'm gonna have to come
we have
visit.
events, like all eyes do be on us.
Speaking of events, we got one coming up this Thursday, right, called Dapper Dialogues in Houston, Texas at the Spot Barber Lounge, 4112 Bannon.
Kaylin, what is Dapper Dialogue?
Listen,
Thank you, because that's one of my questions.
I think Dapper Dialogue. We haven't. It really it's an amalgamation of a collection of fantastic.
My brother is using
SAT word.
SAT
word.
Yes.
My God.
Yes.
Knock it off.
Let him explain, please, to the masses.
Amalgamation is to mix.
Say, just based on that alone, y'all should show up, because you're going to hear better words than that.
Yeah, it's going to be at the Spot Barber.
It's Spot Barber Lounge.
All right.
And so what we do is,
What day?
Thursday, September
Thursday.
26th.
Okay.
September 26th at 7 p.m. is when we'll start, and we'll end when we end. And so come hang out. You know, we just want to have an opportunity to have a custom conversation, couture cocktails, and culture cuisine. You know, when we connect with black, brown, and white people all over the city, just to you know what I'm saying, just to have a really, really good time.
Custom conversation.
Kira,
And
come
the
get
dope
your
things,
husband.
Custom conversation.
And I can't stress this enough. All the booze,
Yep.
all the food,
Yep.
it's all free.
Free
Wow.
ski whiskey.
Wow.
Free
So-
whiskey. We like last time we had Carbach Brewery passing out beer.
Mm-hmm.
We've had whiskey tasting. We've had free hookah, free cigars, and what it is just different, creative, amazing looking people inside and out having a good time connecting with each other. Like I had a situation where I was like, "Hey, didn't you say you need to do more events?" It was a liquor rep. Yeah, okay. Hey, didn't you say you need a liquor rep for your events? Bam, here y'all go. Y'all should meet each other. And then in the middle of it, we might stop it for about 15, 20 minutes and say, hey, this is a trending topic in pop culture right now. And we'll just rapid fire it. Boom, 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 boom. And then we'll stop it. All right, let's get back to having a good time.
Right. Very
Okay.
nice. Very nice.
All
So
right.
this
So we're gonna
Thursday,
have to get
Houston,
Mix
you
and
need to
Single
come
in the
out to the
building.
building. Cultured conversations, couture cocktails, and
No, culture conversation, custom
cocktails and couture
cuisine.
Cuisine.
Yeah.
Let me find out.
First of all, I don't even know that many words that start with C. So
Not K word.
come on.
C
Yeah, none of those
word,
start with K.
Kappa.
Yeah, he a Kappa.
He's stupid, man.
Yeah.
And Kayla gonna be like sensational.
So let's go back to the sins of being single, if
Yeah.
we could.
I love the title.
I love it too,
Yeah.
because it does speak to a narrative that I think is plaguing our community, and I think it causes a lot of relationships to become premature.
Yes.
We're jumping into relationships because we feel like we have to,
Yes.
and there's this clock that is ticking somewhere for both men and women.
Right.
That if we don't get into a relationship, then there's something wrong with us.
Absolutely.
Now, what about the concept of being chosen? Is there something to the idea that if you're single it's because you haven't been chosen. No one has chosen you. So that means your value is decreased. Is that a thing?
In people's minds, yes.
Yeah. How do we combat that? Well, how does your platform combat that concept?
So like I said, I'm all about like changing or renewing your mind about things. Even like when I moved to DC, there is the ratio monster in DC. It is like a nasty, ugly demon. I mean, and it is, but I'm from West Virginia. So we are black people are 3% of the population in West Virginia. So when I moved to DC, seas of men, this is the land of plenty. So in my mind, I don't see a shortage. I see seas of men, types of men doing all types of things. I mean,
she say seas of
seas.
Chocolate City, baby.
How much she smiled. They split up.
Listen, again, I'm from West Virginia, and so like 3% of the population is not a lot. And so when you have people doing different things, and I'm in a group called DMV Social. Shout out to DMV Social. And when we talk about relationships, the women that came from somewhere else are like, it's amazing dating here.
Right.
But the women that have grown up in that, with that mindset of there is a shortage, because there is a ratio issue there.
Sure.
However, but once your mind has attached itself to this narrative, that's what it is. My mind, because of location, wasn't attached to that narrative. So I didn't have those issues. And so I really want people to just like sort of have tunnel vision. Like, look, I only need one. I don't need 500 men. I don't need 100 men. I don't need 10. I don't need 5. I don't need 4. I'm marrying one.
I need at least 3.
Okay,
I'm kidding.
We do things in threes, baby.
But
So
not
if you want 3, cool. But I think it's shifting that. Like if you know that you're worthy, you know what I mean? If you feel good about yourself, then that shifts things in dating. But if you believe it's so hard out here to find somebody, it's so hard to date, it's so this, it's so that, then that's what you're going to see. Trust me, because I see it all the time. Like if I post something positive, if I post like your person is out there, they're like, no, he ain't, no, she's not. Since when? I mean, I will get those comments, and this will be 3 comments out of. Let's say I have 100 comments on a post. Yeah. That might be 3 or 4, but please trust and believe. If I post something that is edifying about your future spouse or your future boo or dating the horizon, there's going to be some people talking about where.
Yeah.
When?
Where
do you find them?
That's the dynamic in the group.
To piggyback on that, you when you were saying, do people feel like a certain type of way? And I think that goes back to self-love. A lot of times, when you're not a whole unit by yourself and you're seeking someone else to make you happy, you're really seeking someone to give your power away to, because then when that person is not behaving in the manner that you think they should, now you're not happy anymore. Yeah. And you find yourself losing yourself to that person so much to where when you lose them again, you lose yourself. So not only that, but you're making them responsible for your happiness, which is unfair to them, because then they don't have an opportunity to be unhappy. So that's a real dilemma in not being single and attaching yourself to someone that may have toxic and codependent type of behaviors.
Right. And so, because people can get caught up in being chosen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so it's like, what must I do to be chosen? Mm-hmm. Which,
I get chosen too much.
No, but
you shouldn't have to chase to be chosen.
No, you should never have to be chased. But as a man, I'm gonna be honest with you, that's one of the most amazing feelings is to like a woman and you know that she likes you as much as you like her, because we always have to chase y'all. So a woman who pursues me, I think it's the most amazing. Really? I ain't gonna lie. She pursues me, she got me. She don't even realize it.
She gonna get
because we always have to chase y'all. Because
I think it's the opposite.
No. Our ego
depends on the man.
Most men's egos are very fragile.
Yes.
I'm gonna be honest with you.
Love having men in the studio, man.
I'm gonna
speak on it, brother.
If a man is a dog, you know why most men are dog? Because that initial girl that he liked
didn't like
broke him, and guess what? So she's running behind the knucklehead who also got his heart broken by somebody before, and then when she wants to do later on, he don't want it no more. Why? Because we can't let things go. So at the end, at the end of the day, initially we all just want one person. We just handle it much different than y'all do.
Yeah.
But when a woman pursues me, and I know a woman actually likes me and she responds when I give it to her.
So that's why.
Because women have more patience than men. So when a woman responds to me like that, my nose is wide open immediately.
So that's why in the group.
But she got to be the right one.
This is for my
No,
group.
I hope she's the right one. But the crazy thing is, since that happens very few times, a woman can act like that, and we'll be caught up because it doesn't happen very often.
Right.
So a lot of times, I'm the non-biased person in my, that's why I created MixNSingle, and I often tell women it's okay to shoot your shot.
Yes.
It's okay to shoot your shot, or be in the position where you're giving him the idea that he's shooting his shot, but you're really shooting yours.
Right.
You're gazing into his eyes, that gaze, or
commenting on his pose.
Yeah, all of that.
Yeah.
And so a lot of women feel like, oh, I need to be chased. God says a man that findeth. But how can you be found if you hide?
Some of y'all hiding really well.
You're
y'all are good at hiding. See, y'all
hide behind filters.
Yes, Lord.
I don't even know what you really look like.
See,
hiding behind broken relationships.
Yeah, hiding behind past trauma, like unhealed situations.
Yeah.
You're right.
Like I've been single for 2 years now, and
me too.
That is we got something else to come. So keep telling y'all I shoot my shot.
We'll be back in 2 and 2.
So
look out for our dating game.
One of the main things I have seen is a lot of women think that they have healed from previous relationships and previous situations, and they have not, because based on the way you treated me, if you're walking into another situation, even though you might be over him, but you're not over what he did. So if you're still not trusting, and I haven't given you a reason not to trust me, then it's not me.
Yeah.
If you're jumping to conclusions before anything happens, I work 13, 14 hours a day. Not all the time am I able to respond to your text message in a timely manner.
See,
I might not even respond that night, because when I get home, I go straight to sleep.
But
but what chick you was with last night?
But let me ask you this. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No problem.
Let me ask you this. If a woman tells you that lack of communication or slow communication is a trigger out the gate, without making it about you, and just being honest about the fact that, you know what, I have been in situations where I've dated men who weren't responsive to me, and I found out that lack of response was due to them entertaining other people. Will you adjust to that?
Yeah, I will always adjust if she doesn't try to make it into a manipulative situation.
Sure.
Because I also dated a woman that once we sat down and one night we had such a disagreement, and I went and then I came back out and I apologized to her. I said, you know what? I keep making it like you're disrespecting me as a man. You might just not respect men, period, as a whole. And then she looked at me and she was like, and then she just bust out crying. She was like, I work in corporate America. I'm a black woman in corporate America. I get treated a certain type of way. Right. I've messed with guys before you that treated me a certain type of way. You were the first man that I actually respect, but I don't know how to show you that respect because I'm so used to being treated a specific type of way.
I know her.
You know that.
After it's a bunch of them. But then after it was over, but after it was over, she was like, so now you know how to deal with me.
Yeah.
I said, no, it's not that. We're not finna allow you to have that crutch, and I'm not finna enable you. So, okay, that's just how you are. That's how I'm gonna deal with you. No, we're gonna take steps together, and we're gonna work on it
to heal. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's just not fair to me.
And I don't think it's fair to be manipulated by someone else's past trauma.
Yep.
I should not be responsible for your healing. You need to heal on your own as a single unit, and then come into the relationship.
But
sometimes
you could be that person's healing, not necessarily saying that you have to take on that responsibility.
I understand.
Because she would have never found out what she needed to find out if I didn't tell her.
Right, and it's okay to guide and direct and
because I need me a woman
or whatever.
Let me heal.
That's all good.
You got one today,
baby. It's oh, that's right.
I'm going to believe.
I'm going to Mexico.
And I agree with what you're saying, but let me say that as a man.
Let me tell y'all something about
you need to be
right
nicer. You need to be calm. You shouldn't say that. Oftentimes we might want to give like this like tough love, like nah, she's a woman. You should be different. Well, sometimes you need to just say what it is. It's black and white.
And let me tell you, a woman will respect you.
I've actually been told what you just said as far as not having respect, and it doesn't mean that I don't know how to respect a man, but I am I work in a male-dominated industry, and I'm used to being given authority, so to speak, even with dealing with men. Okay. So my job is delegation. And sometimes when I'm dealing with my man or someone that may like me, I might just be very direct with my desires instead of sugarcoating it.
Trying to figure
I might not have time.
But there's nothing wrong
to be
with that.
flowery.
My man Kaylin has been chomping at the bit right now. Let's
Please
give him 3
have
minutes.
word in, please.
Can we
get your thesaurus out?
I yield my time.
We're going
And
to use
remember,
that T.I. dialogue. The super
Open up Google, people.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Go ahead, Caleb.
I think it's important to, when you're building a relationship, to establish a baseline, period, right? And when establishing that baseline, this is the context in which, too often people are not afraid to be vulnerable up front.
Yeah.
If you're not vulnerable up front, you'll never move past the friend zone, or you'll never move to the second stage, third stage of the relationship. And so that vulnerability, we've been hurt, but everybody's been hurt. You got to look at relationships in a simple manner, and that's either they work or they don't. If you're not willing to gamble, then don't get into a relationship. Period. It's 50-50.
Don't date or don't get into a relationship.
Either.
I don't want to do
Either. Because dating is the first step to the relationship.
I just had a heck of an epiphany, though.
In my opinion.
That's scary for me because
Hold on, y'all.
essentially what you're saying to me,
Not
the way I'm
said
interpreting
epiphany.
this is, if you're not completely healed, if you're not completely in a space of you've gotten past the past, then you have to remove yourself from the dating pool.
Please.
I don't agree with that because I believe that
I don't
people come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. You may meet your healer along the way.
We facilitate healing.
Yeah, I have a lot to say about
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to try to remember.
I know.
Right here.
She is going to
Remember you,
address you
though.
Right.
one at a
Nathaniel.
time. She started right here.
I'm gonna have to address that.
Mr. Ice Cream.
OG Bobby Brown is ready. Come on.
Mr. Ice Cream. So Bobby was talking about.
It's cool.
So what Bobby, aka Nathaniel, was saying was
She remembered all his AKAs.
Okay, so wanting to be chosen. I'm not saying that we don't want to be chosen. I'm saying, because I think what's happening here is we're talking in extremes. So like what you're talking about is everybody wants to be chosen, but when you become addicted to being chosen, you begin to lay aside who you are and become something different. You start checking off a list of things. Well, if I do this, that, and the third, then I'll be worthy of being chosen. If you give somebody the truth of who you are at the door and then allow them to choose that, don't defraud somebody.
No, I agree.
Okay.
I definitely agree with
okay.
that.
And so that's that. And so you started off with you said that men, they'll get hurt one time and then people basically sort of pay for that forever in their dating.
So what happened with most men, I don't know if you realize it, even when I was talking to my brother the other day, I said, you remember us when we were little? Most men like the same stuff from when they're younger to their old.
Yeah.
Wow.
We're very simple. We like the same type of girls. We like the same foods.
Yep.
We're very black and white. We're so black and white that women don't even realize it. Be like, you can't be that black and white. It must be something else.
We're not. Right.
So the thing is, that one thing that hurts from back. We're just that simple.
And the thing is,
and there's no safe spaces for us.
It really is.
I can't come to him. We just met.
Yeah.
I can't come to him and say, "Hey, bro, I got hurt."
Right. Right.
I really need a place to talk to and tell you how I feel.
Listen.
Because if I don't know him like that, and Kayla, we talked about this on your show. This is where toxic masculinity really ruins opportunities for men to come into their full awareness of who they are, because I have to know a man for years to trust him with my vulnerability. Right. Women can trust each other with their vulnerability over brunch.
True.
And two
from
mimosas.
2 different tables. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That
That's
first
true.
one,
That's
and then
true.
that second one, they get to the bus.
Right. Girl, I just need to talk to you.
I'm not.
And even then, I'm still like, Yeah, I know you're my brother, but
Yeah, I ain't trying to yell.
Hey, what Pop said.
But this goes back to the healing thing, which is what I wanted to answer your question with, with that.
Oh, damn, I'm being addressed too?
No. But I think you made a very good point. It's like you don't go into a relationship with no baggage. Like the expectation cannot be I'm coming in and I'm complete. We're constantly evolving prayerfully until the day we die. So I'm not coming in complete, but I need to, you need to be aware of your baggage, because you can deal with people who can't even begin to open up the suitcase. It's like, not me, because of like what you talked about, toxic masculinity, secrets within specifically the Black community about all things in childhood and things like that, and trauma, past trauma, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like, so you have people that can't even begin to open the suitcase, but you want people that, you want someone that is in the process of, when you meet them, I am processing through. That would be the ideal. It's not always so. But being completely healed should not be the goal. You're going to have stuff, I'm going to have stuff, but are we both willing to work through our stuff? Am I willing to do what I have to do to evolve, and you separately, and then together as a couple? Do we have, is that where we're at?
I think I like what, what's your name? Kappa. I'm so sorry.
So you just forgot my name already.
Royce?
Yeah, because I'm hurt right now.
Wait.
In defense, she wanted to make sure that she did not create an environment where jealousy could run free, since the two of you are going to Mexico.
So you the PR person. You the PR person.
Calling you by your first name.
Hey, that's damage control right there.
That was good.
Hey, that's damage control right there. Hey,
hearing a man, when a man's name is spoken by a woman softly, sometimes it can become endearing. And we don't want to ruin Mexico.
Let me tell you, you need
so
to
you remember.
So you right here tripping. Now,
so you remember.
Let me tell you.
Tell me your name
one of the
again.
things is, when I first started training,
I'm going online. I'm like,
and they told me, when you are meeting a potential client, you call them by their name because it releases endorphins. So what he's saying is right. Like, instead of saying love or baby or
Royce
whatever the case
Thomas.
may be, it's too late now.
Okay.
It releases endorphins. So if you would have remembered my name, it would have been a little different. But right now, I'm a little hurt right now.
I'm sorry.
hurt.
As you should be,
apologize.
because that's not your target.
Yeah.
No,
That
this
is.
is your
That's right.
target.
And she didn't remember it either.
Oh,
so
she remembered.
No, she was asking. She said it in a questioning manner.
She said, bodies?
Right.
She was trying to confirm. She was trying to confirm.
Bodied by Royce.
No, but I like what you were saying about being honest and upfront about how a person who's not healed is making you feel, and addressing that point on. And I think women respect men more when they're honest. And saying how a certain thing
Bothers them.
I'm sorry.
I was going to get it.
It wasn't a question.
But let you, because you hadn't had too much mic time.
No, real quick. It's not as common as it once was.
Oh.
And I'm finding that out as I oftentimes I troll comments and I'm looking at it, just on relationship posts and things. And I believe everybody wants honesty, but then vulnerability and what's the word I'm looking for? Not necessarily emotionalism, but
Emotional intelligence.
Emotional intelligence. Oftentimes, not oftentimes, is much more frowned upon than it once was from a man.
Yes,
It
absolutely.
really is. We are
Both men and women.
Yeah, exactly. It's much more frowned upon. So it is not as common as you would think it is. I even listen to some of my students and even friends, and they're like, I don't want no man without all this week. He got to have. And it's like, wow. I don't know what equation to solve at this point. You know what I'm saying?
So is it from the men's perspective that they're not afraid but hesitant to be truthful, or is it that women are reluctant or women don't receive the truth well?
In my experiences, the people who receive truth in general, one, have to be mature.
Okay.
Have to have let's just be honest, some type of foundation with God.
Okay.
Because I have been completely honest with people, and I have been more so, tell me how you feel. You're an asshole. Bow. You ain't shit. Bow. I never lied to you.
Everything is about plating.
No.
Okay.
No. And I'd be like,
He said that's response that he got.
Oh.
yeah, responses I
you
found.
ain't shit.
And I was like, no, you asked me. I told you. I was honest with you. And the thing was, it just wasn't the answer that you wanted to hear.
And I think that when you're being vulnerable and you're being honest with someone and you're being yourself, and they start with that type of negative behavior, whether it's judgment and projection because they haven't healed from their own traumas, or it's something that triggers them that they feel like they recognize when really it's not. It's just they're projecting their fears on you, and it has nothing to do with you and everything to do with the fact
and when
that
you
they
get to
haven't
certain
healed.
places, maturity in a relationship, like certain things are a part of, like, I understand. If you're upset, I understand. But, like, you can just be like, hey, if you think I'm not shit, I be thinking, damn, I could have just told you I could have came up with a fun line to tell you compared to the truth. You're going to tell me I'm not shit anyway. I could have more fun with it. I could have the story to tell my partners afterwards.
I have a good friend who
appreciate the brother that tells you the truth.
I have a good friend who
they really don't.
It's rare.
Definitely been here with that a couple times.
I have a good friend who quotes her. I think it's her grandmother who says, "Don't come lying to me with the truth, right? Don't come using the truth to lie to me." I guess, and I think we need to take into consideration. I agree with you to a certain extent. But I think we need to take into consideration the unique experiences that people go through before we meet them. The truth is a very effective tool of manipulation. Yeah. And there are some people out there, both men and women, who will use the truth as a tool for manipulation. They will be so honest with you that they're using that honesty to control you. So my reaction to your honesty may not necessarily be that your honesty is not palatable to me. It may trigger a previous experience where someone was so honest with me that they weaponized the honesty so much. There's this great conversation between Nikki Giovanni and James Baldwin. Yeah. And during the conversation, at some point, Nikki Giovanni actually tells James Baldwin, "I want you to lie to me. You lie to everybody else."
Oh yeah,
you see that? You lie to everybody else.
People at work,
right?
Yeah,
but you come home to me and you give me this unfiltered truth that I can't handle. So at the very, and let me say this, and I'll give you the mic. At the very least, have enough respect for me that if you're gonna give me the truth, at least package it in a plate, in a spoonful of sugar will let that medicine go down. But sometimes that we take truth and we force it down people's throat, and then we look at them and say, well, you can't handle this truth. It's not the truth that I can't handle. It's the way you gave it. It's the delivery.
Which is what I said. You have to plate it.
I'm not gonna force it down your throat. I'm not gonna wait to give it to you at a time where I feel like it's convenient for me. But if I give it to you,
it's because you asked for it,
and you choose to keep fucking with me or fucking with the situation, and then 3 months later you're mad. Well, who's the fucking clown in this situation, man? Seriously. Like if I told you whatever it may be, whether it be business, relationship, friendship, your family. You know what I mean? Like you could be somebody whose family you might I might be like, no, you can stay on my couch until I decide to change my mind. I'm nicer every day than the week beforehand. Say, man, you need to find a place to say, well, motherfucker, I never lied. Well, you just don't like the way I'm telling you.
I actually, since we have you guys here, I kind of want to switch up the conversation.
Wow.
What's that
can
face
What
is that face?
Yeah, you got to explain the face. Because whatever your voice ain't saying, your face is screaming right now.
Well,
these are microphones. They don't need to be amplified.
I mean, but you can go ahead and say what you're going to say.
What that face
no
was.
more ice cream for you, brother.
No. And I want
matter of fact, I'm lactose intolerant.
I don't even know.
No. And I want to hear from the people who feel like who has something they said your face. That's what I want to hear, because oftentimes I might say this or that. Well, you didn't say, well, no, I told you. We talked about it. Yeah. We had a discussion.
And you asked
you're
me.
Acting like, well, what do you want me to do then? What do you expect?
I want to use that topic to segue, because in partnerships or relationships, a lot of times you guys already pre-discuss the role, but somewhere it gets lost in transition. In translation,
and all of that should be discussed.
So I want to go into the submission aspect of it.
Let's go into submission.
Think about that Fantasia's conversation on submission.
Yeah.
Oh wow. I'm going to the bathroom.
From what I saw, I agreed with I'm assuming I saw all of it. I might not see them from what.
We didn't have a clip.
We do have a clip.
Do we have a clip?
What they both said, I agreed.
The
with
husband,
all of it.
her husband.
But like he said, he says, but basically he was just like, but I got to be a man of Christ and actually go about doing things the right way. And like, how could somebody be submissive to me if I'm not actually doing what I'm supposed to do as a man?
Exactly.
And so that's what I think it should be.
So
it's
we do have the clips.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Do they work? Do they play?
You can't be a leader because a lot of women look at it like, no, I can lead in my household. I can do this in my household.
Y'all hear
That's not how it's supposed to be, and that's why
I
we
know
bump
y'all can
heads.
hear
And I
Fantasia
feel like
voice.
it's a generational thing. And we could talk. We can go real deep on that. And I don't need to start that, but it's a generational curse, and how society
That's my
has
sister-in-law.
placed our
Did y'all
men.
know that?
And women have to stand up and be the mother and the
is all
father
on
and the
camera.
provider. And so then now you are so bad, you can't be told nothing. That when the right man comes, you lose him because you're trying to be the man. I was gonna say,
All right.
man.
Can we be equal?
So cut to the husband.
Was he
Watching Fantasia clip.
I think because she say y'all trying to be the man of the relationship.
You have to come back from the husband as well, right?
Yeah, I kind of want
that's
to. I want to hear
possible.
both.
that I felt like the male and the female should hear?
So here's the issue. Submission is supposed to be a beautiful song and dance between two lovers.
It is a
What's
beautiful song and
happened is
dance.
men have abused that power. Forgive me, they've abused that gift.
The
And we
marathon
have
continues.
been misled to think that it's something where it's a dominant spirit and we own every decision, we dictate everything, we rule with an iron fist. First of all, that's not love. What happens is
Perspective that I felt like the
Okay.
male and the female.
So I think that when they're talking about submission, it's not I bow down to you and I do everything you say, and you're my husband, so I'm gonna follow you wherever you go. I think submission has a lot to do with respect and a lot to do with communication and a lot to do with where are you leading me? You being the head and I'm the neck, or you being the head and I am, in alignment with what you're doing. And if something is out of order, or if you're leading me into a space that's out of order or not where we originally said we were going, then I'm able to communicate to you that, I'll follow you. However, this is not where we said we were headed, right? I think people take submission and say a woman is supposed to bow down, she's supposed to drop to her knees, she's supposed to do all these things, cook, clean, blah, 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 but that's not what submission is about. But I'll let you guys talk about it.
I have a. Let me start. Let me start because I have a very unpopular opinion about this.
Okay.
And as do I.
I believe that
Doesn't work our way around this table.
we, first of all, I don't think that we can redefine a word that already has a definition.
Okay.
And when it comes to the definition of submission, the definition of submission is to yield to a higher authority.
Okay.
To place yourself below someone else. I don't agree that in this day and age, any woman needs to submit to any man. I don't think that concept has weight. And here's why. If we start viewing relationships as partnerships, the only thing that we should yield to is the expertise of our partner. If I marry someone who's good with money, the fact that I am a man should not trump the fact that she has
She's
an
better with
MBA
money.
in finance.
Yeah.
I'm going to yield to her expertise. I'm going to allow that which she is good at to lead the relationship. So this idea of submission, I mean, we're talking about, and I'm not trying to disrespect the Bible. I'm a Christian. I believe in God. I believe in Jesus Christ, the whole nine. But at the same time, I also believe that this was written for a certain time. We're talking about a book that uses the word submission. Husbands, submit to your wives in the same way this book talks about slaves submit to your master.
Yeah.
You can't change the definition of a word if it's used in the same way, in the same context. I just don't agree with that. So there is a place that we are placing women that women don't need to be at anymore. Women now can work. Women now can be titans of industry. Women now are, in the black community, women are educated exponentially more than men.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense to marry a woman who has an MBA and then totally disregard everything that she's done because you happen to be a man. You don't need to submit to, a woman doesn't need to submit to a man. Both parties need to submit to the greater good of the relationship.
Yeah.
Not even to each other. The relationship. Yeah. That's my opinion.
So I have a question. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I want you to answer.
Okay, the thing with the submission is, and this is again because
you give him some more ice cream.
Okay, so like as far as submission is concerned,
I'm going to get yogurt.
I mean, but I'm just from a biblical perspective.
Okay.
And this is from a biblical perspective. When talking about submission, the Bible, and this is for those who subscribe to the Bible is very clear. It says husbands submit to their wives, and wives submit to their husbands.
Yeah, it does say
period.
That.
I mean, and then it says husband, and then it says wives submit, and then it gives you a picture of what this husband is. He is so submitted to his higher authority. Again, we're talking to Christians. If you're not a Christian, this does not apply to you. But if you are trying to adhere to a biblical principle, it says that this is a person who would lay down his life for this person on a daily basis. He would sacrifice himself like Christ sacrificed himself for the church.
Right.
That's, again, because some of my followers are not Christians. We are talking about, people, because this is how it was brought up. It was brought up in the context of the Bible. But it says husbands submit to their wives, and people don't preach that. They stop with the husbands submitting, the wives submitting to their husbands, and
so we have a husband in the room.
So it says so
not only that
they submit one to another.
Preaching himself.
So I think that is
sort of.
that is important. To talk, to say, because it says that the wives and the husbands submit one to another.
So if I may, oh my God, if I may,
You about to bust.
I am, because
we all are.
That is oftentimes misquoted
and manipulated.
Scripture does not say husbands submit to your wives. It says dwell with your wife
according to knowledge.
Yep.
Right? If you read the scripture, wives submit to yourselves unto your own husbands as unto the Lord, for the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church, and he is the savior of the body. Therefore, as the church is subject unto Christ, so let the wives be to their own husbands and everything. Mm-hmm. This is why Tony has a problem with it, because it's culturally contextual.
Yep.
Right? And so it doesn't. We are to dwell with our wives according to knowledge. So you can make a case that may be submission, or that may be understanding your mate and your partner, a man as a woman. And so therefore you're not lording yourself over her. But in terms of us submitting that to our wives, that's not scriptural at all. I just read it to you, and if you want,
I do believe a true leader knows how to follow.
I agree.
And delegate.
I look at the Bush administration,
and that's why I take on it.
Here's the problem. I think, and I
agree.
I agree with Fantasia in the sense that over the years, however many years, 400 years, however many years you want to say, in our community, specifically, men have been, and let me just say that she was saying that men have been removed from the household in most cases. And let me say that that's not 100% our fault.
No.
And I won't, let's all agree that
it's not at all.
Absolutely
okay.
Not at all.
We're all in agreement.
I think it was designed in such a way to break that. That's a whole nother podcast, and trust me, I can go there. But I'm saying that a lot of women are, had to put themselves in position to be the head of the household, and so it has been hard. More women. That's another whole other. Okay.
Yeah.
But they've had to place themselves in the position of being the head of the household, and so now you're trying to discuss or even recondition our thought process about who's the head and who's not. And it's going to take some time. It's not something that it's like healing a wound for a diabetic patient, right? So you've given me, this food and the way that you're raising me, and it's hellish in time, in the sense of over the years you just eradicated our men, our sons, our boy children or children, period. And now you want us to say we need to submit to you, but we've been doing this. We've been taking care. We've been holding up the bloodstained banner, and now you want me to say I submit to you. But I think it can happen. It has happened. It's happening.
For sure.
But everybody was not raised the same way. Everybody has a different.
Submission worthy. Everyone want to holler.
Well, that's my other thing.
Again,
You know what?
And the way a man is submission worthy is, again, I think we don't do enough teaching on dwelling with our woman
according to knowledge.
We don't according to knowledge. We don't dwell. Like, that's the issue. We devalue the power and the strength and the love and the affection of me dwelling with my wife. I dwell with my wife. So when I dwell with her, I know who she is. I know her triggers. I understand what she needs. I understand what she doesn't like. I know how to meet her needs, and that she submits to me, because the number one thing a man needs is respect. That's how we view submission.
Love. That's how y'all take.
That's
love,
how we view love, through
Respect.
respect.
There's no place in the Bible that instructs a woman to love her husband.
Yeah.
You won't find it.
You won't find it.
It's
You won't
respect.
find it.
Men are told to love their wives.
When we devalue dwelling and we don't teach
our
our men how to dwell, and I think there's a case. Again, I think there's a case to be made for submission based upon dwelling, but we don't teach that. We don't say. We hear submission and it becomes this dirty word, this curse word, this hellish thing.
And it's
that how
not.
dare you, Lord? And it's not. But it's only not that when a man dwells and spends time and loves on and nurtures his woman. At that point, it's not an issue for her to submit.
So it's safe to say dwelling means knowing.
To reside.
And understand.
Know and understand.
as well as
You know your
address.
house.
Yeah.
And
You
if,
know
and
your
if
house.
a man
Right.
makes
Know
a
your
woman feel so protected as if she's an extension of himself, I don't see why she wouldn't want to submit to a man.
There are
Okay.
anomalies, but
Okay.
yeah, agreed.
So
I've been trying to talk about 15 minutes, so when I talk, I don't even know.
I'm sorry. Hold on, Roy.
Bryce Thomas,
When
ladies and gentlemen.
when she said that, it made me think of something that from my own life, right? So my mother told me a story about when she met my father, right? She said my father, she was at this spot back in San Antonio called Tucker's. She was a nurse. She got off work. My old man came in there. She seen him come in. She admired how he looked. My pops and drinks to everybody at the table. Said, "Hey, but I want them to know it's because of her. That's why they got the drinks."
Yeah.
Fast forward, they're dating, yada yada. He told me, my old man worked for the railroad. He said it was a situation where he had got laid off for a while, work was slow. He was like, "Christine, if you want to leave me, I understand because I can't provide like I'm supposed to right now. Everything's good." But he was like, "But if you stay, you'll never have to worry about this ever again, I promise you." She said, "I stayed because your daddy was a man.
Yeah.
And I loved him, and I knew he could provide and do the things for me. He was a father. He went to work every day. He did the things that were important to me. So, just as a whole, like he did, like how you said, worthy of submission.
Yes.
He did the things that she felt like a man should do to provide for her and the rest of the family."
Come on, Roy.
I just, and I'm just 2 seconds, and I'm done.
You got three.
I
You got
just
three. I'll give
okay.
you three
Thank
'cause
you.
my guy.
Roy said
I
he's
just
sick of
have
y'all.
an issue with the word submission, and the reason I have an issue with the word submission is because you can't change the definition of a word that has been defined.
I agree.
And let me say this: the Webster definition. Somebody posted it on my live, so I want to read it to you. The Webster, and then I'm going to stop talking. The Webster definition of the word submissive: ready to conform to the authority to or will of others, meekly obedient or passive. A submissive, almost sheep-like people. The word submission, in fact, means what it means. So if we're gonna argue what it means to be in a relationship, then let's talk about that. But we can't argue the definition of a word that has already been defined. What you're talking about is a willingness to accept someone where they are. What you're talking about is a willingness to dwell with someone according to what you know about them, and that's according to what they're willing to share about you. We're not talking about the definition of submission.
So what you got to say, Royce? Because we have.
Well, let's talk. Let's talk. Because we're not trying to ruin Mexico. Go ahead.
Yeah. I don't think it's nothing you can do to ruin Mexico, my man.
Well, damn.
So, first of all, what you were saying, I agree with what you're saying. the problem is with the word submit, so many people have weaponized that word.
Yes.
All right? I had never seen the whole Fantasia thing. There are so many controlling men out here that haven't had control in their lives for so many aspects. So they meet a woman that they feel like they can control.
Yeah.
So they've used that word as a control. It's, in my opinion, it's an ugly word. But where we come to the point to where now there are partnerships and relationships, women wanted to be treated as equals, which I completely agree with. But then when it comes to certain gender roles being defined biblically, then they want to jump back into, okay, well, you the provider and this and the other. But then they don't want to hear about the Proverbs 31 woman being a helpmeet and them knowing what a helpmeet means. You know what I mean? So there are so many, it's a fine line. But then when Kaylin actually came out here with the actual scripture, because I was going to say the same thing, because that's one of the things when I was in counseling, I was in Christian counseling, and he said that it was dwelling. And then he wanted me to, without even looking at the definition of dwelling, to say, what do you feel like dwelling means?
Right.
And I said, well, it's your residence. And he was like, well, just imagine your residence. I was like, well, I know my residence inside and out. I decorate it. I make sure it looks good. I make sure that it's taken care of when I get there. I make sure that it's my place of peace and this and the other. So when you're dwelling with her, according to knowledge, it's not the knowledge not only of the Bible, but it's the knowledge of your dwelling. And one of the things of actually showing the knowledge of your dwelling is you also dwell with her with your words. And that's one of the things of, hey, say, man, that kind of hurt. Even though I work out, that kind of hurt. Yeah. And one of the things is that if you're dwelling with her and you know that you can't get her to respect you by words, then therefore it might have to be actions. I can't sit up here and tell a woman, say, baby, I need somebody that's gonna get up here and wash dishes, and I'm not domesticated. So therefore, instead of me telling you to wash dishes, I'm gonna go wash dishes on my own. And then sooner or later, you're going to see what's going on, and then you're going to follow suit. But what has happened is a lot of women say, give me something to submit. Now it goes back to that Bible, because it also says that you submit to him as you would to Christ. And if you have enough faith in Christ that he gave you that person, then you're not submitting to me anymore in the first place. You submit to Christ.
Church.
Now it goes back to what you're saying, if you chose the right person or not. Because a lot of people, they just jumped into a situation because they 35 and their biological clock ticking. When you're actually in the relationship that is meant for you, there are going to be ups and downs. There are going to be ups and downs. That are going to be times where you're going to question certain things. But at the end of the day, if you are rooted in the Bible, then, hey, I'm not submitting to you in the first place. I'm submitting to Christ because he appointed you as head of this household. And a lot of people jump to that, and we all weaponize submission. We weaponize the Bible. We weaponize a bunch of different things. Guys do it in order to get a woman to listen to them. And women do it in order to get a man in their place. We all do it. It has been done. And that's one of the most toxic things about the church. Even though I love the church, even though I go to the church, I'm in Bible study, I'm in this and the other. That's one of the most toxic things that has happened. We have to know that, hey, if this person has been sent by you, God, regardless of whatever the situation may be, I'm not doing this for her. I'm doing this because I have enough faith in you that you place this person in my life, and that's how it's going to be regardless. Amen. And therefore, that man won't ever weaponize that word.
That's it
just won't happen.
That is an excellent point, and I'll yield to you.
It's that blue shirt on point.
No, it's an excellent point, because when you
out of all the shows,
when you talk about submitting to a higher authority, when you recognize the authority of that higher authority, there is no question that I'll submit.
Yeah, of course.
No, it doesn't matter what God you believe in, as long as you don't see yourself as the ultimate authority and you submit yourself to something, whether it be Buddha, God, or whatever, you see something above yourself, then it's easy to submit. So I think what a point that you very eloquently made was, I'm not submitting to you. I'm submitting to the God in you, right? And I think that any man who sees himself as the ultimate authority in any situation is problematic. Yeah. And in my experiences, the women that have willfully submitted to me have willfully submitted to me because they see that I've willfully submitted to something that's above me. And even the women in my life who are not romantically attached to me. I mean, I talk about the matriarchs of my life, my sister, my mother, my aunts, whatever. They see that I submit to something bigger than me. So if I say something, it's not coming from my mind or my heart. It's coming from something that's above me. Like the brother that at the hotel, it's above me now.
Yes.
Right, it's above me now. So it's not. I'm not the buck. The buck doesn't stop here. There's something I'm getting from somewhere else, and that message is being relayed to you. How could you not submit to it? Yeah. And that's okay. But when you submit to my manhood, or I define my manhood based on your submission, I got a problem with that. I'm not man enough to make you, as a woman, yield to my authority, because I'm still learning how to be a man. And as a black man, the lesson is so much harder to understand. The other day, I saw a brother. I was leaving the barbershop, walking out the barbershop. This brother's walking in the barbershop. I saw he's walking in. I said, "Hey, bro. Hey, no disrespect to you, bro, but your zipper's down." Now, his response to me wasn't, "Hey, appreciate you, bro. Good looking out." His response was, "Nigga, why you looking at my dick?"
Yeah.
So again, I go back to the idea that there is no safe place for us. Now, I have a friend who I'm on the phone with her, and we're talking, and she said, "I'm sorry, but hold on for 1 second. Sweetie, there's a tag hanging out your dress." And the woman's response to her, "Thank you so much, sis. I appreciate you. Thank you." Women have this thing that's built into their DNA that they're allowed to look out for each other in that way. But when I tell a man, bruh, your zipper's down, we go right to this place where I shouldn't be looking below his belt.
Hey, Tony, I'm going to call you cool ass Tony. What was your response?
You know what my response was?
I like the way he talked.
Cause I'm not gonna lie, I'd have been
You the flip.
I'd have really slapped this
No.
shit.
You know why?
I can't stand ignorant boy. I'd have lost it.
You know why I responded that way?
And I know I shouldn't have, but I would. But you're
right, and I wanted to.
But
what I've learned in my lifetime is
I'm angry. It wasn't even me, man.
To allow someone to take control of my emotions is to lower myself to the level where they are. They are.
You
know what I'm saying?
Right.
I give my power away. I realize that it's more important to you to walk around with your zipper down than it is to take instruction from another man.
Wow.
And I can't put myself in a situation like that.
That was
I
sick.
totally agree.
Tony, that was sick.
But it's just
I don't know how
some.
much time we have. Can I pivot and ask you ladies a question really quickly?
Sure can.
2 minutes.
Come on.
What
We got time. We got credit card.
What
Big ball in the room.
to you to the ladies? We talked about submission, right? And a big part of this submission conversation is provision and the man's ability to provide. What is provision?
Good question.
What is provision? You want to go at that first, or you want me to?
Yeah,
shoot?
since you've been making all these facial expressions,
your
I want you
face-
to. Yeah, I
your
want your.
face
I
is
want your
like,
mouth to match your face.
Girl,
on this
say
one.
something. Talk, girl.
Okay, well, while she think about it, I'll answer it before she go. Provision could be.
Answer
looked
right,
at-
baby.
I'm shooting my shot.
Are we going to Mexico or not? We might end up in Detroit.
Detroit.
He said y'all ass gonna be on 7 miles.
Go take some bottled water with you.
Provision could be a number of things. Basically, a safe haven. You know what I mean? These days and time, when you have women like myself who are bosses in their own right, we're not necessarily looking for just financial security for a provision. I want someone that can accept me in totality, without judgment, without projection, and provide a safe space for me to be vulnerable and give me something, provide an environment that there is respect there, or give me something to respect. You can't be a homemonger and, you got community dick.
You laugh at that homemonger? Not horrible, homemonger.
My age came out of that one.
She said you can't be no Jezebel.
Yeah, you can't be that. You can't be passing out community dick and expect that you want somebody to hold you in high regard. So,
That man.
It was a joke. It was a joke.
all right.
Provision.
Provision. Back to provision. I just want you to be dependable in all aspects. Can you pray with me? Can you lead me? Can I go to you and get sound advice? Can I trust you with my secrets? will you be able to lead me in anything, or would you have to go talk to your mama about it?
Crazy thing. The crazy thing is, we want the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Come on.
She about to,
Come on,
She
Nicole.
about to
Michelle.
bite,
No, that was-
she about to bite her tongue off.
No.
So the definition of provision says it is the act or the action of providing or supplying something for use. So that means that whatever it is that you're providing for me has to be valuable. It has to be useful. And so with that, I think from a woman's perspective, it doesn't necessarily have to be financial. You guys can meet at the middle and, y'all can handle that together. But are you feeding me spiritually? Are you feeding me emotionally? Are you
Hey,
But that's true, though.
That's just as important.
But that's true, though.
That's just as important.
You're not going to stay in a relationship
you-
with a man who's not feeding you sexually.
You're not, because I'm not going to stay in a relationship with a woman that's
I'm not.
not good
I'm
at
not gonna
bed.
do
I'm
it.
not saying that
I don't care
I
how
would.
cute you are.
You know, they say looks matter, but
you know what?
sex matters.
If you're going to be the
Matters
last
a lot.
person to have
Hashtag.
sex with,
You know,
then the sex needs to be good.
honest.
Hashtag the
I
D.
can't be honest. I have talked to women who I've been crazy about, who were like, I'm not having sex because I just thought they were that dope. But on the other qualities they had, where I felt like were so amazing, they were qualities were important to me. I like, you know what? Let me be mature about it. These are things that are more important in the long run.
I'm scared of that.
But that's just me. But that's me though. That's just me.
Why are you scared of
No, I
that?
was gonna say that topic because I just brought that topic up in the group. Like, I've been like really big on holding out and waiting and getting to know it, and so it'd be all organic. And what if it's all organic and I like you, you good looking, you attractive, and then the sex is like,
Well, let me ask you, how do people get
People
better
are
at stuff?
teachable. You teach them.
As long as they're teachable.
you gotta be teachable.
gotta be
but what if your tool too small? I mean, you
Basically
can't.
saying, what if they don't have the equipment?
Well,
Yeah, the equipment. I
You
mean,
cannot have. Okay, see now.
Well, then you need
I
to.
mean,
you,
there is still tricks
Hey.
you
whole
can
other
do.
podcast.
You need-
So let me ask you a question.
you
So
need to work
I'm
that
not-
shit out before your passports get
And I
stamped.
might be mistaken. I've heard, and I might be wrong. 'Cause I don't know, but I've heard a lot of women. Heard a lot of women tell me when a motherfucker has fucked their mind, everything
That's true.
else. So
Feel
hold on.
But no, because let me tell you something. That's all good in the beginning.
Baby,
you
I
can
don't-
get in my mind.
I'm
and all that.
not a
good for
woman,
the long haul,
so I
but
can't
I
speak
mean,
from
but
that
what I'm
perspective.
saying is how they get you. That's cool. Cause I didn't been mind fucked before, and the sex was good. in
So
the
how they
beginning,
keep you?
and
So it's only dick that
then-
keeps
oh,
you?
no.
That's what
I'm
you
just
just.
saying.
It's
But
dick
when
that
you
keeps you
lose
close.
when you lose that fire, or they're no longer stimulating you in that way, then you start to recognize all the things that they fell short. You know how it is when you fall out.
But if he's no longer stimulating that way, it's all gonna lose anyway.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
over.
I just want
Okay.
to say that it was a wrap from the get-go. If
Okay,
he didn't
but
get you
anyway,
mentally no more.
What I was finna get back to, sometimes
How old are y'all
I just
again?
want to be rude and say, let me
36.
see it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Don't you just want to sometimes just say, let me see it? So we can save everybody a whole bunch of time. Because if
So
you
wait a
ain't,
minute. Listen, hold on. So
I mean, we unfiltered, we raw.
I know we raw, but listen.
I hope my mom ain't
44.
listening to this episode.
My daddy. I was
will be
the same way.
She on it.
But at 44 years old,
thought you said. I thought you said y'all was talking about clothes.
if I meet a guy that, I'm really into, we have a connection, a real connection.
Yeah.
And we go to make love or whatever you want to call it, whatever we're deciding to call it.
Let me lean in real quick. Okay.
If he is not physically what I expected him to be for whatever reason, I still remember how I feel about him, right? And I'm still going to engage with him sexually. If there's something that he's doing that I don't like, if his penis is not fulfilling, we're gonna talk about it.
I don't
How
think
do
there's
you
anything
get
wrong
around
with
that?
that.
How do you get
I
around
appreciate
I don't think
that?
I don't think a lot
It's
of people do that though.
communication.
But if he's
Hey, look.
mature, he can accept that.
If he's
And that's the
mature,
key.
and
And
that's
that
the
is
key.
more-
Is he
I don't
open
know,
to
I,
that?
but I don't know how he can accept that because a lot of guys' pride
But the
is
thing
with
is-
But there are some. What's big to her or what's fulfilling to her is
You know,
not
but you
fulfilling
know,
to me.
I
Or could be.
Basically, what she said is, baby.
No, but
she said
there is a such
that's
thing
what
as
she
two
means.
me.
But I agree.
I
with
mean,
you.
that's what
I need
that's how
two
you-
microphones.
But
No,
look,
but
I had that situation. I've had that
Girl, you
situation. I was
need-
like, you know what? That might have been dope with your old dude. I don't like that.
Right.
So I never had a problem
Yeah.
with somebody
See?
telling me to say. So I agree.
So
That's
it
what
took
I'm saying.
it took me full transparency. It took me 4 years to learn my wife.
Had to learn her.
4 years.
That is, what is it called? Taking.
I want somebody
Taking
to
time.
learn me like that.
What is it?
Yes, I'm
Dwelling.
that
dwelling. It took me 4 years. I was trying to do stuff with all. I was
a
trying to
roadmap?
pull
A
stuff out of
roadmap?
the bag
Find yourself.
that I've done in the past. I was trying to-
Two habla español.
What works for
I got
other
some.
women, it does not. It may not work for me.
Right.
And he may, another woman may say, I don't know why you with him. He ain't got no dick. But I
For
felt
me,
it and it
yeah.
was amazing.
Well, baby, you said 2 microphones, so ain't nobody gonna tell you that.
You put 2 mics together.
So
I did not.
we're being accused of talking
This
over
might
each
be
other.
all right.
And someone on my live said, Dominique said, I was in a relationship with someone with a small peen for many years, but we worked it out. He stimulated me in more ways, so it didn't bother me. So he found a way to make it work. Now,
I was with somebody
wanna-
with a small peen and didn't even know he had a small peen.
I want
for a
to
long time. And then I got some strange. I was like,
see.
See,
And that's why
all
your ass
of
need
us.
to stay in the continent of the United States. I want to
Let's go
trip over.
You know what?
Nicole.
I ain't gonna lie. Everything you said just.
Yeah, exactly.
Nah,
So
but
you mean this whole time I thought I was anyway? I want to refer to Nicole because your face has been saying I have something to say,
She
and
just won't though.
I'm
Come
going to
on.
allow you
Face,
to.
face.
You are reclaiming your time.
I'm reclaiming my time.
Yes.
Okay, so the submission discussion, as far as what Fantasia said, one, she made a very, you don't have a man because XYZ. And that was a very broad, that's what she said. She said, you don't have, y'all single because you don't want to follow leadership. Okay, but that's not true. So, and again, it's a whole bunch of blanket type, you don't have because of XYZ. And it's simply, there's a whole bunch of reasons. First of all, marriage is on the decline period across the board.
True.
In the black community, it's on decline much faster than everybody else. But there's a whole bunch of different factors that go into why black men and women aren't coupling at the same rate as other people. And it's not about submission. Everybody's not a Christian. Everybody's not Muslim. Everybody's not this. Everybody's not that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Every man doesn't want to be in a relationship where he leads. Some men desire to be led. It is what it is. That's
do.
y'all. You know what I mean? That's them. No judgment. No judgment, no shade. Everyone doesn't want the same things. And so I think, we get into sort of mass generalization. And as far as I know, the Bible is pretty clear that you submit to one to another. It says that in Ephesians. I actually wrote every scripture by hand about marriage. And I wrote that. 5:20, it does. Ephesians, it says.
well,
Okay.
different versions of the Bible have different.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Perhaps it says as you submit to God, it's pretty clear. It says be subject to one to another as you reverence. It's there. But it depends on which. But in several versions it says submit. But that's okay. Maybe perhaps we're not submitting one to another. Maybe we're just subject one to another, which seems
Here's
to
the
me.
thing, and I'm sorry, when Fantasia is saying women we're single because we don't want to be led, I think that again it goes back to where we've come from. I think it goes back to what we've been through as a community.
Right.
And she spoke on that. She said, women have been the person who's been the head of the household all this time, and now, we're trying to be submissive or trying to be this feminine woman.
I agree.
And it's hard for us to shift in that direction.
But I don't
the reality is that we're all here because of Big Mama's prayers. So to deny the potency and strength, you can, but to deny the potency and the strength of women in the black community is to deny the black community in itself. And I know I could be accused of pandering by saying that, but women have been given a certain permission, especially black women, even today in corporate America. I got the job that I have right now is a direct result of a black woman seeing me beyond my resume, recognizing me beyond my resume. She literally ushered me into the position that I'm in now. Black women have opportunities that are not given to black men.
I agree.
I'm sorry.
I agree. But to say that the majority of black women cannot or not in relate again, I loved what her and her husband said on the second video. And the first video, what she said in the beginning, I mean, she said it, and it sort of just snowballed. But the idea that the majority of black women can't be in a partnership with a black man is false. It's just not true. And that is not the reason why black women and black men are not coupling at the rate. And so that's what I'm talking about. Is there an issue within the community because since I think it was like World War II, the black marriage rates have been declining. Yeah. Okay? For various reasons, okay? And you do have more black women being heads of household. Yes. But again, the issue is not just these women are so used to running things and being a boss, they cannot they don't want to be in a relationship with someone. I mean, that's
that's a false.
But again,
I don't think that it's that women don't want to be in a relationship. It's not that. I think that when you're dealing with a man, and the idea of allowing a man to be a man is what's hard. I think sometimes because of I keep saying I'm 44 and I'm single. I've never been married. I've been engaged, but I've never been married. Almost no cigar. So what I'm saying is sometimes we have a masculine mindset nowadays. A lot of women, many women that I associate with, we have this masculinity about ourselves. We handle ourselves in ways that people would perceive, oh, you think like a man, right? And then you got, we're not trying to. It's just that's how we've been conditioned. My mother told me, you make sure you go get that money and do what you're supposed to do and don't worry about no man right now. Get your career, blah, 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 blah. Okay, I know we don't have a lot of time. And then, then the black man is removed from the household, so we have to be put in those situations. A lot of my friends in my age group are raising their kids alone, and they have to be masculine, and sometimes we've lost our feminine energy. We've lost the capacity to allow a man to be a man, and so we're now trying to dumb ourselves down or dim our expose more femininity and bring down that masculinity. And it's become conflicting. It's a little confusing, and we're trying to figure it out. And I think where Fantasia, what she's saying is mostly true. And I have a group on Facebook of 1,160 women and men, and that is one of the biggest issues that women are like, I don't need no man for this and I don't need no man for that. I'm on the way here listening to Jill Scott.
I'm okay by myself.
Saying,
do they want one?
Well, they act like they want one, but then
but I need one.
I think some of this is geographical too, because I'm from West Virginia.
Okay.
So,
like I said earlier,
I'm from West Virginia, and my, I come from a 2-parent household. My grandparents were married. My great grandparents were married, all the way. And in West, I'm a country girl, so we were raised to. I was raised to be a wife. You know what I mean? And so it's very difficult. And so when I moved to DC, there is, again, many men have said, you West Virginia girls, because there was a whole bunch of us, y'all are different. And so
That's what they say about Houston girls.
Yep.
Same thing.
So y'all are different, but it is different. But again, I think we have to, as singles or whoever's doing the looking, you have to take some responsibility.
Because married people look too right.
Listen,
I chuckled to myself
That
too.
was funny.
Whoever's
singles
looking
have to take some responsibility, because one of the things that I talk about a lot instead of being single is, like, I have a type, which is a progressive grandpa, because I like a man that is sort of traditional. So he's a progressive grandpa. Like,
I like how she put that.
He ain't gonna tell me you can't work, or he's not gonna tell you this. I look for someone that's somewhat like my father, but he's open-minded. But like, you know, he's traditional in a sense, like my grandfather, like my father. And when I say, you know, this is what he looks like, and he's usually, you know, I like artists. So women are like, well, where do you find them at? Everywhere. But because I don't mess with men that aren't traditional, that aren't progressive grandpas. I don't do that. So like, if I go out on a date, it's going to be pretty traditional. So I don't have stories about I went and he this, that, and the third, and he ate all this food, and then he was like, I don't do that. Because I don't deal with people like that. Yeah. So if you want a woman that is somewhat more traditional, then only deal with women that are traditional. If you want a woman that is going to take the lead, or you know, the dynamic is going to be XYZ, then that's who you deal with. We have to take some responsibility in who we are dealing with, because everybody's out there. If you want a woman that's like, look, baby, you go, and I'm going to be here, and I'm going to cook 3 meals a day, and I'm going to wash the clothes, I'm going to be with the kids, I'm going to birth these babies. There's a woman out there for you.
What you are saying is so profound, and I hope the people in my group are listening, because that is often what I say. Stop accepting what you don't want.
The end.
And wait for
Stop it and hold out for what you really want. If you really want a traditional woman, as she's saying,
that's it.
Hold out for that. If you really want a man that's gonna take lead and lead you this way or that way or whatever whatever it is. Stop settling. And a lot of women just feel like, oh, he's showing interest in me. He inboxed me.
No.
Oh, now we go together.
Nah. Exactly.
I'm being honest.
You get the last word, because we need to close this out.
This is what I was about to say. I think that goes for men and women.
Absolutely.
It does.
I think that's an awesome way to end the show. One, because we're over, and two, because I got to use the bathroom really bad.
Okay.
But I agree with all that was said, though.
Yeah. It's the MixNSingles podcast. This was an amazing show.
Yes, we might have to do this again.
We might need a part 2 in this.
Hey,
that's what happens when you get the G for gentlemen, guys.
We got the gentlemen for Dapper Dialogues, and we're gonna go ahead and pass the mic to you guys. Let us know where we can find you as a collective and individually, and then again plug what's going on Thursday night, please.
So you can find me individually at SenorGuapo713. That's SenorGuapo71.
Dapper Dialogues this Thursday.
Come holler at us. It's Dapper Dialogues this Thursday. Get with us on Instagram to find out more.
Instead of being single.
I'm sorry.
That's why I can't never follow that guy, because he be cold with it. Body by Royce. That's all I can say.
Wes Thomas, ladies and gentlemen.
I can't even spell it out like he do. But yeah, Body by Royce on IG, of course. Like I said, I'm on 1/3 of this trio, and I'll be there this Thursday as well.
Catch him in Mexico next week.
Taking pictures of Onay in the water.
Si habla español.
I do like Mexico.
Is it chips and salsa?
First, I want to thank everybody tonight for allowing us to come out. I had an amazing time. It was nice to be back at the Sphere.
Such a gentleman.
I appreciate everybody for having us out.
I have a new little brother.
My name is Nathaniel James. The owner of WJ Knots. AKA the Militant Gent, 1/3 of the trio for Just for Gentlemen, also 1/3 of the trio for Dapper Dialogues. Hope to see y'all out here this Thursday from 7 to 10 at the Spot Barber Lounge. All fan in the Midtown, Texas, and Houston, Texas.
Hey.
And I'm just going to answer a question from earlier. Earlier, somebody wanted to know the WJ, not where the name came from.
Yes, I did.
So the WJ is actually my father's initials, William James, who has passed. So that is my way of paying homage to him. Because he is the reason why I've learned everything about all of this gentleman's stuff.
Hey, Daddy.
So it's a way of me paying homage to something I love, something I want to pass on to somebody who I love, and I hope I can be at least a third of how he was for me for whenever I have children.
Single, no kids.
So there you go.
Go ahead, 35.
And of course, we have from the sins of being single.
And he like ice cream. And he like ice cream.
Tell us where we can find you on social media. Tell us where we can find you on the internet.
Okay, so Sin of Being Single, Instagram, it's Sin, one, like singular. Sin.
One sin.
Yes, one sin. Sin of Being Single. That's that's my handle on Instagram. Come follow me, and I do a show with Vision Poet out of Philly every Sunday night called Talking Trash live at 9, live on Instagram. And come follow me, and I love y'all. And my main thing is don't settle. I don't believe it. I'm so anti-settling, and all of these conversations. I think at the end of the day, if you know who you are and what you want,
absolutely.
I want you guys Also, to come out and support me, I'll be hosting on October 5th at the Buffalo Soldiers Museum. The Sinai Expo 2019, brought to you powered by Swag, Essentials, and Carol's daughter. I am one of the sponsors there. I'll also be emceeing and performing live. We're going to have Raymond Santana, the Emmy Award-winning film. He was in the Emmy Award-winning film When They See Us. Yeah. He'll also be a special guest there, and the proceeds are to benefit the Innocence Project. So you guys could look up the Sinai, that's SANAA Expo 2019, and be sure you get your tickets there.
Raymond Santana is actually one of the Central Park Five.
The exonerated.
Exonerated.
Yes. And I know Swag Essential, she's good people.
And look her up on as Swag, SWAGG Essentials on Instagram as well. She'll have the flyer there.
I met randomly one night, super cool. Every time I said try to support it, love it. She was on Shark Tank. She good people.
Yeah,
real
good people. Yeah,
Makes
she's
awesome
doing major
products.
things.
Y'all should get it
Yes,
if you can. Yeah,
so proud of her.
Tony.
And of course, you can find me on all of my social media handles, Tony Massey Speaks.
Even on Amazon.
Even on Amazon.com. I got 3 books up there that you definitely need to check out. I really want, if you are so inclined, join the 21-day challenge group. Right now, we are talking about self-love. So be a part of the group, and we're just promoting the idea of loving yourself first. And I think this definitely goes with everything that's happened tonight. Love yourself before you try to love someone else. Love yourself so that you are not plagued by this idea of who you're supposed to be, and be who you were meant to be. Tony Massey Speaks.
All right, everybody. So we're closing up. Thank you guys for an amazing show. I really appreciate you guys being here, and I would love to have you guys come back and let's continue this conversation.
Yes.
Different topic for sure. But it needs to be a part 2. You can follow me or us at MixNSingle, MixNSingle. We're also on Facebook, MixNSingle Events. We also have a Facebook group that you need to join if you are single. And I mean not married. And I mean, single.
Nobody thinks you're not single.
Yeah.
We're not talking about separated.
We're talking about single. Absolutely single. And that's MIX.
No paper.
MIX. I'm spelling it wrong. MixNSingle. You can also find us on MixNSingleEvents.com. Thank you for joining. We'll be back in 2 weeks.
YouTube subscribers.
Oh, please.
Yes, subscribe to the YouTube.
Please subscribe to the YouTube.
Every 2 weeks? Or
every 2 weeks. Okay. Share, subscribe, tell your friends. Share this post. If you're seeing us on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. Hit the button. Click the button. Ring the bell. And we will see you guys in another 2 weeks.
We will see you.
Next up.